So we're in the middle of winter now and it's not that many people's favourite time of year to wash the car. Unfortunately, it is pretty cold and also the cars are getting battered with road salt and dirt, and it is important to try and get that off in a reasonable amount of time just to keep your car in best possible condition. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my favourite winter wash tips to hopefully make the process a little bit easier and more enjoyable as well. So a pretty big priority in winter when you're washing your car is trying to keep warm. So we all know about wearing layers. The only thing I'd say to be a little bit mindful of is wearing anything with buttons or zips, as it makes it really difficult because you can't lean over the car without worrying about scratching it. The main priority though is generally trying to keep your hands and your feet warm, as those are your extremities and going to get coldest fast. So I do have some sealskin gloves which I've purchased quite recently. These are completely waterproof and I can put my hands in the bucket and they don't get wet at all. They do keep my hands very warm. You can get thinner sort of knitted style versions of these which are apparently still waterproof, but I do really like these. You lose a little bit of dexterity with them, but it's fine for exterior washing. If you don't want to pick up those because they are quite expensive, then for quite a while, for the past few years, I've been using just normal gloves and then pop in a nitrile glove over the top, and they do help to provide a little bit of protection, keep your hands warmer and drier. Also make sure you're wearing some decent boots as well. Something preferably knee length and waterproof I find is most useful. Using warm water in your buckets as well is a pretty good idea, especially in winter. Stops your hands getting cold quite as quickly. And also I really like to get as much ready as possible before I start washing the car. So I've got this bag here which I keep all my microfiber towels in, my brushes, and I can put all my products in there as well, so I don't have to keep going in and out of the house. I also like to make sure that I fill up my snow foam cannon and my sprayers before I start. Just helps me keep inside for as long as possible. And whilst that's happening, I'll fill up my buckets and then I can just pop a lid on them once I've filled them properly so that no sort of debris flies in them and I don't have to worry about that either. So my next tip is about gritting your driveway. So fortunately, where I wash my car, it's all sort of stones, so I don't really have to worry about those freezing. However, here where I fill up my buckets, it's all sort of paving flags. So if it's going to freeze overnight the next day, if it's forecast to, I'll always pop a little bit of grit down in this area just in case I spill anything when I'm filling up my buckets, because usually makes the journey to my car the next day a little bit treacherous. So I'll either fall over and everyone laugh at me, or might end up hurting myself. So if you do have a driveway like this, then popping some grit down can be a good idea if you know that it's going to freeze overnight. So my next tip is about paying particular attention to your pre-wash stage. Now, I personally think that no matter what time of year it is, the pre-wash stage is the most important part of the wash process. Getting as much dirt as possible off the car before you actually touch it with your wash mitts is really, really important to help reduce the risk of scratches and swirl marks. Now, I'm going to be talking through some of my favourite methods here to do that. All the ones that I'm going to talk about are alkaline products because generally I find them to have a little bit better cleaning ability. Some people tend to get a bit worried about using alkaline products on their wax and sealants because they are going to degrade them slightly faster. However, I tend to worry less about that. My sort of thinking behind that is I can apply a wax and sealant and top that up very, very easily. And I'll be talking about some products that I can do that with a little bit later on. But if I scratch my clear coat because I haven't paid particular attention to the pre-wash, then it's not as easy a fix. And yeah, you can't just simply keep polishing and polishing to remove the damage that you're putting in with every wash. So I've got a few of my favourite options in terms of snow foam here. So Built Hamber Auto Foam, everyone knows about that one. It's very, very good cleaning ability. Quite a thin foam, but it does really, really well. We've also got Squid Alkafroth, which I actually did a comparison between these two and a few others. And Squid Alkafroth actually came out on top here, so it is a really, really effective one and quite a thick snow foam as well. And we've also got the Garage Therapy Snow Foam, which is quite a new one. That again has really good cleaning ability. I will do a comparison between these two at some point, but it's just not the best time of year to kind of film these sorts of videos. Next we've got the citrus pre-washes, so I've got Pyramid Car Care and Valet Pro. This is good, either neat or you can go down to 1 to 4 with this and it's still effective. And this I tend to use when I don't need quite as much cleaning ability, so that works well at a 1 to 7, 1 to 8 and it's very economical. Both these are very effective, and I quite like to use them on sort of the lower sections of the car here and then use a snow foam on top. And then we've also got some more heavy duty ones, so Green Star All Purpose Cleaner, very, very similar from my experience to Surf X HD. Good cleaning ability around 5 to 10%, although not as great on your last stage protection. Nitty Gritty I've used a couple of times now, and this is actually a really, really effective product at around 1 to 10. I find that this is really, really good at cutting through that grime. So my next tip is about applying a shampoo to your car in a foam lance. So you can use this method with your normal sort of 2-bucket and multi-mitt method. It will end up using slightly more products than just having your shampoo in the bucket. However, I think that coating your car in a layer of the shampoo can really help to add some more lubrication and make the process a little bit safer, reduce the risk of scratches and swirl marks, particularly useful in winter when your car is a bit dirtier. So I have got a couple of products here that are my favourites to do this with. So we first got the Garage Therapy 1 car shampoo, which is their version 2 of this product that they kindly sent. This works really well at a 1 in 10 in your foam lance and produces quite a thick foam which has a good dwell time, so you can go around the car quite easily without worrying about the foam slipping off the vehicle. And then also we've got the Pyramid Car Care tester version of Revival. They do have a release version of this now with the proper label. This again at around sort of 1 in 10 works really, really well. So I think in winter it is really important to keep a good level of protection on your vehicle to help prevent sort of that road salt and sort of grime sticking to your car as much. Unfortunately in winter, applying things like a paste wax and a spray sealant aren't really the best options because they tend to work better in temperatures that are above sort of 5 degrees, and you might not have that luxury at this time of year. They also do take a little bit longer to apply, which is not really what you want to do when you're in winter. You want to get back inside probably as quick as possible. So I've got a few products that I wanted to share that are really good for topping up that protection as quickly as possible in winter. So first we've got spray and rinse sealants like Geon Wetco and Bouncer Speed Juice. I do slightly prefer Bouncer Speed Juice. I find it to be a touch more durable, but I haven't done any sort of side-by-side testing, so that is just purely sort of anecdotal experience. These are really, really useful if you just need to quickly top up, say, a patch that has died of your wax or sealant. So usually on the side panels, if they've had a lot of salt sitting on there, these are really, really effective. But if you have noticed that the protection is dying on your entire vehicle and you need to top the entire car up, then using something like these 2 products is really useful. So these are lance applied sealants. So you do just chuck them in your snow foam lance like you would if you were pre-washing the car, and then spray it over the entire car and then rinse it off. And these leave a really, really actually good layer of protection on there. So I've used this quite a bit, and this, you get around 2 months of good protection with that. I've used this recently and this has really good water behaviour as well, but I'm not sure quite so much on durability yet. I haven't tried it for long enough to say, but I will provide some updates on that. And also I want to test this in the sort of full vehicle transformation as well to have a little bit more of an in-depth look at that one. So making sure you dry your car properly in winter is very, very important, because if you don't really get into all the sort of nooks and crannies, then your car is going to freeze overnight if it's going to get to that temperature. So make sure you're getting all around here, you're drying your car properly, open up the doors, open up your fuel cap, open the boot up and just dry everything off as best as you can. You can also use a pet dryer or a dedicated car dryer to do this. I did have a leaf blower which I used to use, but unfortunately that did stop working. So I don't use that at the moment, but just find that using a microfiber towel in these areas does help to reduce this problem as well. So my next tip is about making sure you look after your pressure washer and also your tap and hose as well. So your pressure washer is of course going to fill up with water throughout your wash process, and that water is going to sit in there and freeze if you don't store it properly. So I always recommend pulling the trigger on it and making sure you drain your pressure washer properly. However, if you're storing it in a garage and it's getting close to freezing temperatures, then there is a risk that some of the water in there is going to freeze, expand and crack some of the internal components of your pressure washer and completely knacker it. So store your pressure washer inside and also make sure you drain it properly as well. Also, if you do want to avoid your tap actually freezing, the next time you come to wash it, it's really annoying if it is quite close to zero and your tap's still frozen because it's stuck in the shade. Then the best thing you can do is just disconnect these, and of course make sure they're drained properly, but disconnect this from here like that, and then you can make sure that this isn't frozen the next time you come to use it. So the final tip on this list is about looking after your door shuts and your hinges. Now this one might seem a little bit random, but I do think that this is actually really important if you want to stop your door shuts freezing over winter. So I personally applied some of the Garage Therapy tyre serum to my actual rubbers, as it's a rubber conditioner and it actually works really well to keep them in good condition. But also making sure that you actually properly clean your door shuts, whether you use a quick detailer. I think that this is a good method to actually keep the door shuts clean, stop them freezing, and yeah, just stop any problems over winter really. One thing to keep in mind though is when you actually clean them, just be careful around the hinges. Make sure you reapply some sort of lubricant to them, as my mechanic did shout at me because he said that they were too clean and there wasn't enough grease on them. I'm going to pop a link on screen to a winter wash process I've done on my car. If you are new to the channel, make sure you check that out. If you have enjoyed, please drop it a like, subscribe if you're not already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.